want to welcome you to our monthly live Connect and Refresh. And we are really excited for today's topic. Last night we had a live that was all about encouragement, and we really felt like it was just going to flow into today's topic on encouragement. And so the Connect and Refresh is all about prophetic encouragement for today. So that is we're going to cover topics that we as women leaders in business and ministry that we experience, because honestly I feel like we haven't all, I don't know if you feel like any of us, where you don't really have a lot of places that you can talk about some of the hard topics, and maybe you don't even know who can I talk to these things about, and they're on my heart and I don't know what to do with them. So we felt like God was saying create a place where they can connect and be refreshed on topics that women go through. So that's why we're here, and that is what Connect and Refresh will be about every single month. God just honestly lays on our heart, this is what I'm speaking, this is what I want you to encourage them in. So today's topic is a awesome one, and it's near to our hearts, and it's creating a culture where women build each other up with words of life and encouragement. And that might not seem possible, but it is. And many of you have experienced that, a culture where women have built each other up. And many of you have experienced the opposite, where you've been around women in business and ministry and it hasn't been the best experience. So we want to talk about how that is possible and bring, solution, but also talk about what we've experienced. And you guys talk about what you've experienced in a very, we can do it in a way that's honoring. And so couple just, I don't want to say guidelines, but kind of things that I'm going to put out there that how are we going to honor in this conversation, because we want to give you guys an opportunity to connect on the feed. We would like you to put your name and even your city and state, so that we know who you are, and we want to encourage you throughout this entire live. We feel like God's probably going to give words of encouragement for some of you on here that are specific to you. So we really want to, if that's something that you would like to participate in, give us your name, city and state, and we're just going to go with it. We really feel like we're just going to risk in this conversation. And if you can relate as we go along, if that's you and you really relate to some of the things we're talking about, the way that we can do it in an honorable way and sharing our experiences is coming at the topic in a way that is this is what I've experienced, not this person did this person did that, and naming people and all of that. There's a way to do it without doing the opposite of what we're called to do and what this conversation is really about. So we want to encourage you today. We've already been encouraged. We've been talking about this before we even came on, and just in sitting with God and asking Him what to talk about. We've already been encouraged, so we're going to give you that. And so I want to start with introducing everybody. You might know them, but you might not. And if you don't, you want to know them. I'm going to start with Britt Peck. So at Oh Free Bird Fly, she's our creative business consultant. And Britt is a champion of women and women's dreams. And she's just, I wrote you the other day and I was like, I love how you love life, your energy for life. And so that's just Britt. You'll know more about her. And Tracy Irwin, she is our prophetic activator, and she is a prophetic consultant also. And she will champion you to hear the Father's voice, because she knows that everyone can hear the Father's voice and how it's changed her life. And she will always champion you to that, and she also is a champion of women and their dreams, and she will remind you of your dreams and not let you let it go. And my name is Kimberly Woods, and I'm the founder of Vote for Your Fly, and I do a lot of different things, and I'm just excited to be with you. And so that's who we are. So we want to know who you are.
Yes.
I can't see the feed, so I don't know if you're putting your name.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hello. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Ashley.
Yay.
We already have a healing report. Yay. No cancer for her mom in her biopsy. No.
Oh,
gone.
wow.
Whoa. Come on.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yay.
That's amazing.
Praise
That's
the
so
Lord.
beautiful.
Oh,
Hi, Nikki.
that's beautiful.
Oh, that's amazing.
We just love you guys being on here.
Yes.
Yeah, and just you can just be comfortable with just sharing things like that, because we want to celebrate you and celebrate the things that you're excited about, because that, when you're waiting for a result and you get you get a good result, whether you get a good one or not so good in the moment, we want to stand with you, celebrate you, champion you, all those things.
Sorry.
I was just saying,
A friend of mine's joining us from California. Hi, Melissa Brown. So glad you can make it on
hi.
here. Yeah, we miss you.
Awesome.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because of how important and valuable today's topic of conversation is, if this is valuable to you, or you have other people in your sphere of influence that could use this, please let this, go ahead and share this on your page, or let people know in the comments. I know that God puts people on your heart for a reason, and so if someone comes across your mind as you're listening, just put their name below, and that way they'll get notified, and so you can actually include them in the conversation. It's so important. It's not just to tag somebody to tag somebody. It's truly because God's put them on your heart, and so we believe in that, and so we are here to encourage you, and you guys are our encouragers, and so it kind of goes out in your own sphere of influence, and so I just encourage you to do that.
Yay. All right, so we're going to jump in.
Yes.
And I want to start with what I feel like is our mandate as kingdom women, Christian women, because at Kingdom we're Christian women. We're believers. We believe in Jesus Christ. So we are kingdom women. We are Christian women. I know you can kind of hear those two terms, and maybe you don't know, like if you hear kingdom women, what is a kingdom woman? You're a Christian woman. But I believe that our mandate is that we have the opportunity to be prophetic people, and we are called, as prophetic people, we're called to encourage, build up, and comfort. And when I say opportunity, it's because the prophetic is a gift, and we get to desire it. You cannot desire it and never experience that side of being a believer. And so I believe that when you do say, when you're like, yes, I want to know what is the prophetic, what is prophesying, and you see it in His Word, and you say, yes, that's me, because He says it is, I want it, then something changes, and you actually find out what you're called, created, and purpose to do. And that if you say, I'm a prophetic person, you are called to encourage, build up, and comfort. And so I think it's saying yes to that. And once you say yes to that, it changes things. Yeah. It puts like a weight on it, and you're like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Am I being encouraging? Am I bringing comfort? Am I building people up in my words? And so you take your words seriously when you know that they carry weight, they're powerful, and they prophecy. I love that it says, and when you study like the Strong's Concordance, you can look at the word prophecy and find out what does that actually mean. And they are new messages from the Lord to His people. Like we actually get to say yes to that and partner with that, and they bring comfort, encouragement, building up. They bring all those things. So I'm going to start with some scripture because it's always, I believe when I can see it, then when I see it, and I don't know about you guys and you guys out there, but when I see his word, I can't ignore it. It causes me to go, well, you said, and so I want to partner.
Yeah.
I know you guys
It's not
want
an
to
opinion.
partner.
It's
Yeah.
something you can stand on. It's not
Yeah.
just an opinion.
No, and it
Or like-
calls you to do it.
Oh, well, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
No, it's his word. Like,
Yeah.
it's talk about having weight.
Yeah, and it also, it pulls you in, like, I know for these ladies, I know them, and I want everything that he has purpose for me. I
That's
want,
good, Kimberly.
yeah, like, I
Yeah.
want that. I don't want to go, I feel like because you are a leader. If you have a business or you're in ministry in some way, and we're going to do more on what is business and ministry and all of that, but you're leading someone. You're a leader, and when you're a leader, you do in God's kingdom. You like look at it and you go, how am I leading people? And we have to see in the Word, because if not, you really can ignore things and kind of be like, well, but when you see it, you're called to it. So I'm going to start with that. The first one is in 1 Corinthians 14, 1 and 3. And it says, pursue love and earnestly desire the spiritual gifts, especially that you may prophesy. This is God's word. This is Paul speaking. And he is telling us, all of us women, he's saying, pursue love, earnestly desire the spiritual gifts, especially that you may prophesy. Okay. Do you want that?
Yes.
I want that. Okay. All right. I will. Oh, especially that I may prophesy? What is prophecy? I wonder. Like, that's how you looking at his word and going, ooh, okay, I need to know what that is. Because he says especially that you may
He
prophesy.
pointed that out. Why did
Yeah.
he point that out? There's 9 gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I believe the reason why I'm highlighting the prophetic is because I don't think we can leave it out, and I believe that it is part of us being women that set a culture that build each other up. I don't think that we can leave out the prophetic because it calls us to who we are. And then it says, on the other hand, the one who prophesies speaks to people for their upbuilding and encouragement and consolation.
That's good.
I want to be like, that's what I want leaving my mouth. I don't ever want Tracy to leave here feeling not encouraged by me, not built up and comforted.
I don't think anyone.
We don't. I don't think any of us want
Would
that
any
to hurt
person.
somebody.
Yeah.
We don't. And so we get to say, we get to see in his word and be like, I really don't want anyone to leave my
That's good.
presence broken down. And then, so we are called to bring solution, and that I love. I don't know where this saying came from. I don't know where it first came. A solutionary.
We're solutionaries.
We are solutionaries. We are solutionaries. When I heard that word, I was like, I'm a solutionary? That is my calling. That is my, what are you? I'm a solutionary.
You can take that word.
Take it.
Yeah.
You are a solutionary.
Yes.
The next scripture is Ephesians 4:29. It says, never let ugly or hateful words come from your mouth, but instead let your words become beautiful gifts that encourage others. Do this by speaking words of grace to help them. Grace is empowerment. What? This is what we get to do, guys. We get to spray grace. It says, let your words become beautiful
Wow.
gifts. Our words are gifts.
Grace sprayer.
I get to give you a gift, and you get to give me a gift.
Yes. Who doesn't
And
like
you get a
gifts?
gift.
Gifts
We're like,
and
what is it?
Gifts.
And you get a gift.
And you get a gift. Yeah.
Okay, and the next one, and then I'm going to jump into some questions. The next one is discover, it's in Hebrews 10:23, 24 through 25. It says, discover creative ways to encourage others and to motivate them toward acts of compassion, doing beautiful works as expressions of love. This is not the time to pull away and neglect meeting together, as some have formed a habit of doing. because we need each other. In fact, we should come together even more frequently, eager to encourage and urge each other onward as we anticipate the day dawning.
Wow.
So I hope that
So
those
good.
like scriptures spoke to you. If you have any favorites that are encouraging, that are things like this that show how we should speak, how we should encourage, would you share them for us? Because these are just some that I found. Tracy, Britt, we find them, but we would love to hear if you know any that are about
that's
encouragement. And I hope that you heard those spoke to you. So I'm going to jump in again. If you're just now joining us, give us your name, city and state, so we know that you're on here and that we can personally encourage you.
And I want to say hi to my Aunt Diane.
Yay!
Tuning in from Wyoming.
Aunt Diane.
Yes, Aunt Diane.
Hi. Okay. So I'm going to start with some questions.
Yay.
Okay, so the topic, if you're just now joining us, is about creating a culture, setting that culture where women encourage and build each other up with words of life. And how do we do that? And what have we experienced with it and not with it? And we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. So my first question is for Britt. What has been your own personal experience with this area? Whether, we're going to be real. We're going to, what have you experienced that hasn't been so great? And we're going to give solution to it.
Yeah, I think my mind automatically goes to direct sales because I think that's where I've seen it the most. And it's not just direct sales, but this is my own experience and why it's left such a gross taste in my mouth. And I love the scripture when it talked about ugly words. Like, when something feels ugly when someone says it, or you say something and you're like, ooh, that is ugly. But in the direct sales realm, there is so much of that nastiness and that, it's just ugly. And so I've always had a bad taste in my mouth, but when I felt God calling me to say, and he said, you can do business a better way, and help change this industry. I knew that meant that as an encourager, like a natural encourager, that I can set the culture, like you were talking about in my experience in direct sales and business in general. It's not been pleasant. I have to be honest. I've not always been pleasant. If you feel like someone ripped off an idea that you had, or took something, even if it was like a social media post, taking that from somebody, taking a customer, or if someone, going back to direct sales, if someone is in the same business and takes the customer, what does that look like? How do you handle that with honor and grace?
Jesus.
Yeah, not just in direct sales, that's in any business, in anything. And so my experience has it's not all been bad, but what has been ugly, I know that we are now called, that once we acknowledge it in an honoring way, we can shift and be the ones who change culture, set culture, change the pace, and encourage other people to not always do and not follow just because you're seeing your leaders in those arenas doing those things.
Yeah. Have you personally experienced words that just were not, that they just tore you down, or you left feeling just like, well, that's cruddy?
More of like hearing other people,
Just
clients
happening?
hearing my own clients talk about other people and other people in their business. And I'm like, it sounds so classic of like, can you imagine what they're saying about me? But it truly does leave you that feeling of like, I'm not going to participate in it, but I've been wrong in in calling, speaking up, and just kind of, I just turned and left the conversation, and it left me feeling yucky. And the guilt I felt was also not speaking up in that situation, instead of just being like, okay, I'm going to turn from that conversation. I think that's where a lot of the issues are in this, is when you see something in your business and ministry, or you've been hurt, there's the acknowledgement of it, but there's also to be able to point in the right direction, to redirect and to shift things, and not just stop and avoid them and never address them. So there's a big difference.
And that can be hard because it is like this bold communication. It really is. You're risking people not wanting to be around you, talk to you, you're risking rejection, all those things when you do speak up. And I've experienced that where, like, do I speak up in this moment? Do I say something? It could even be one person, or you're in a group with women or whatever. You're with a client or co-business people, like other business women. And, it can feel like, how am I going to say, this feels really gross right now, and how do I speak up? How do I change it? What do I do? And I think it really is, there's a risk in it, and it's just going for it. I think that when you do speak up and you say something, it really you can do it in a way that's like, hey, let's not do that. You're actually bringing a solution to that person, and it calls them into who we are. And because honestly, they probably forgot who they were in the moment, and we can shift that and set that culture with them. So the question is, have you been a part of the problem before? And how did you change that now? Like, have you been a problem, and then how have you changed that?
I've absolutely been the problem.
Okay.
I've absolutely, I have no problem admitting that, because once I understood my identity and how God sees me and who I'm called to be, and how there's one me, that God is in me, and once you realize your identity, it changes everything. Like, it changed everything for me. And so I started to walk forward, not having any question or any confusion, or I had solution. I found a solution, so I want to share the solution with other people who might be struggling with the same thing, or not even struggling. They don't realize that they're still in that ickiness, and don't realize it. Like, leaders don't realize that when they talk about other people in the business, or they talk about other businesses, or other direct sales competing direct sales companies. There is a way that a language that we have to build, like as encouragers, as women in this business, in this realm. You have to be the ones to change. Once you realize, you have to find your identity first, understand your identity and what Christ did for you, and then you can move on from there. Because if you don't get that, you don't see who you are and how God sees you.
Yeah.
So that changed it for me.
That's good. Have any of you experienced, because that is, I've experienced, I'll speak on it, but have any of you experienced that with, like, even in, like, direct sales businesses? Because I know there's a lot of you that are in direct sales, and we're going to talk about how you change that. When you hit the word about talking about other companies, I've been in direct sales, and I remember, and I know you guys can probably relate, is that, let's say you have this, you see that you have this new product line coming out. Let's say you're you're in the health field, and then all of a sudden you have a new makeup line. Y'all go in a different direction, and you hit the makeup line, and you have friends in another beauty direct sales, and you've been in, like, the health side, and you're like, no, because then there's going to be conflict, and you're like, oh my gosh, now, like, what do I do? And you're hearing, and then you can feel how your friends are going to feel that are in direct sales, and, like, another in beauty. I'm sorry, this is like really what you can feel like. You can feel like, we weren't in competition before, and now we are. Yeah. This is not good. And but you hear the bashing of the other company. Now it becomes competition, and so now there's a bashing of the other companies, and then of their marketing plan, of their pay schedule, and all these things. How do you shift that? How do you, because if you have a business, and a lot of you, your business is your ministry, you are leading your team. You're leading, even if you don't have a team, you're leading your customers, you're leading the people around you. When you go to a conference, you're leading people. I believe that it is risking to be different, to be just, even we read those scriptures, risking to be different, risking to go, to change your language and not even agree with that, not go, yeah, I know, because you don't want to cause conflict, and then speaking up and being like, you know what? Why don't let's be different. Those people are awesome. You can shift the words, and you're gonna set culture. You're gonna change it, and people are gonna notice, and they're gonna start following you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times where we're like, I don't really want to create waves.
Create a wave.
But we were made to
Yeah,
make the
we're
wave.
made-
Like make a wave.
Waveful.
Make a good wave.
Yes, that's good. Okay, so I can't read the comments, so I don't know what's going on out there on this thread.
Take these questions for yourself
Yeah.
to do some, use this as part of your quiet time or before you sit down to do work today or whatever it is. I think that these questions is so healthy to say, have I been part, have I contributed to the problem? And, calling those things to mind, but then thinking of a solution for yourself. And to be able to share that with other people, share that with your team, that's that wave, that ripple effect, that you doing that internal reflection instead of calling out other people and saying, have I been a part of the problem?
Yeah.
Yes. How can I change? And you see the fruit of it, and
Yeah.
then you have proof that it works when that you can do business a different way when you partner with God. It's beautiful.
That's really good. And I just sitting here with them, I feel like, and then even Jenna is part of our team. But whether you're in business or ministry, or you're leading in some way like that, we can all, for us, we've set a culture that it would not be acceptable for any one of us to start talking about other businesses, other ministries, all those things. We would probably be like, listen, and then we would have to shift it and be like, whoa, wait a minute. But we've set that culture we're not going to do that. And so I want to encourage you that even, let's say you don't have a team, let's say it's just you still have a group of women around you, and you probably have 1, 2, 3, or 4 really close ones. Gather around, get together. This is my encouragement, my homework, my challenge to you is get those women together, go have coffee, go have lunch, something, and you guys set some core values that, guys, we are going to go by what the word says and who God calls us to be, and we're about to create a wave, and we're going to set the culture around us, and y'all are gonna move. Y'all are gonna, as you move, the wave is gonna be created, and the wave is gonna be created, and you're gonna shift things. It might seem slow, but before you know it, you're gonna see language start changing, and one by one. So I want to encourage you in that. Will you say a yes in there? If you're gonna be one that you'll take that challenge and you will do that, and then you can give us testimony of what's happened, how you've seen culture shift to a kingdom culture, because that is what we're doing. We're creating a kingdom culture. Or actually, we're enforcing the kingdom culture. It's already created. We're just enforcing it, and we're saying, yes, let it be. So on to Tracy. Okay. What about you? What has been your personal experience?
Well, first I want to say I feel like for me it started in adolescence.
Okay.
I think that culture of that we're talking about that we don't like, I think it can sometimes start as early as that. With your peers in school, and there's all this jockeying for just peer pressure and things like that. But for me, I learned early on that I needed to be the mean girl.
Top dog.
I needed to be the mean girl, because if you weren't, then you're gonna get pounced on. So it was like a form of protection and survival. And so a lot of times you just grow up with that, and you don't realize you're still operating under that, and you don't need that anymore. But yet you've created that culture with inside of you to and I've heard this plenty of times, that bullies are bullied. If someone's a bully, they've been bullied.
Wow. So it's like they take that on as a protection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you
So
said
ain't nobody gonna mess with me.
So do you feel like you kind of had that, like, even if you didn't even have to speak the words, do you feel like you kind of just like, you walked that when you walked in a room, that's what was felt?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. So yeah.
So you've been the
picture me. Picture me a mean girl. Yeah, I used to. Yeah, I did. But inside I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, I would absolutely go home and crumble.
Okay.
You know, because inside I wasn't a mean girl. I was actually a very kind, sweet person that liked to help people. But who would know that? I mean, it was like an armor that you had to put on. And sometimes women have had to do that in an environment. And I'm wondering if women in business and sales kind of feel that pressure and necessity to actually, you know, kind of put that on to like go out into the workforce, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a great question for you guys. Have any of you felt like, in order to be powerful, I have to be mean? I need to put on this like strong, tough, like I can't be hurt, kind of like persona. Like, have any of you felt like that? That's interesting that you said that you would crumble when you go. So did you feel that, like, because you kind of like had to do that? Did it hurt you then? What did you feel?
Yeah, it hurt. Well, it's interesting because, you know, people would attack me anyway.
Got it.
And so it was motivated by fear. So I think that as a young woman, you know, growing into a young woman, I did not have any form of empowerment.
Yeah.
It literally was survival. Like, I raised myself.
Okay.
And so you can't operate in something you don't have.
Okay.
You know? So if you don't have confidence or you don't have identity, how can you possibly operate in that to even? So for me, it developed then. And I noticed as an adult that I just brought it with me into my, you know,
So how did, one,
Yeah.
what have you done to answer the call of being an encourager, and how did that change everything?
Well, I have a scripture.
Okay.
I'm going to try not to cry,
Okay.
but I might. There might be tears. Because I didn't get saved till I was like 26.
Okay.
So I have a lot. All right, so this is Paul speaking in 1 Timothy chapter 1.
Okay.
And he said, mercy kissed me, even though I used to be a blasphemer, a persecutor of believers, and a scorner of what turned out to be true. So I would have to answer that, mercy kissed me.
Whoa.
The mercy of God kissed me. You know, I encountered, you know, love and acceptance from him. Yeah. That would be the first layer that went, yeah.
Okay, and what did it, after that, what did it look like? Because you were the mean girl.
Yes.
This tough outer thing. How did you practically, what are some things that you did, stepped, like, did you made a decision?
Yeah,
right?
I did make a decision that I wanted to be like Jesus.
Oh.
So I made it.
That's all you needed.
That's all I needed. And so the more that I said I wanted that, the more he showed me how much was in me, the good things that were in me.
Okay.
And so the things that weren't supposed to be there were easily seen.
Okay.
So there was things, you know, I wasn't aware of myself in relationships.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have another question. I know this isn't. Okay. I have another question.
Yeah.
How do you feel like walking with people you trusted? That did people have to call out anything and go be like, Tracy, that was not, or
Oh,
like,
yeah,
how did that strengthen
absolutely.
you, and how was that? How hard was
Yeah,
that?
that changed everything.
Okay.
When I got around safe people,
Okay.
that's just like foreign to me.
Yeah.
And so for the fact that they felt free enough to tell me I was acting like a fool, I was shocked. It shook me to my core. Like, I was devastated because the last thing I wanted to do was be a hurtful person.
Got it.
Like, it hurt. It like actually hurt. Like, I felt it hurt God's heart. And it's like, I don't want to do that, you know. So that was my motivation, honestly, was to be who I already who I already am inside. It's like my outside needed to match my inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
My outside needed my who I am, who I display myself. Like, one of the questions I had to ask early on is, even with my family, how are you experiencing me? And so the hardest thing to do, guys, is ask people around you for feedback.
Yeah.
Because you can't change things that you're not willing to acknowledge.
Yeah.
But I will say the key to that was, because the last thing I want any woman to do on here is to go into striving. You already are wonderful.
Yeah,
You already are beautiful. You already have generosity and security and safety, like, built in you because you're one with Him. And so your position starts from heaven. Your position starts from security, not for it. So not having to strive for that gives you the freedom to actually ask for feedback, because it's just that my external world hadn't caught up with who I already am in Christ. And, you know, it was behavior. You know, I needed to change behavior, honestly.
Yeah.
You pick up bad behaviors. If you live long enough, you know, you're going to, you know.
That's good.
So,
There's another good question.
Okay.
That kind of goes along with that. So Andrea was saying that she's has received backlash for walking the path of positivity or pointing to building people. Has been the hardest thing for her, and it's hard to try not to fix those people but allow God to take over for them. And she asked, how does everyone deal with the backlash of positivity?
Whew,
that's good.
Yeah, I get that because I've definitely experienced that. Of being a positive person, of bringing the positive to it, how do you deal with
when it may be a negative situation?
Okay.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen to Kimberly, actually.
So,
I've noticed that.
I've cried a lot. I'll just tell you that I've cried and processed with God. My husband has walked in as I'm wailing with God and just not understanding hurtful people, not understanding. But I really processed a lot with God, and then I would go process with my husband, someone who's safe. I've met people who are very safe to process with, but how do I deal with being the person that's positive and bringing the encouragement and all of that? I just honestly, I just be me, and I continue to be positive and continue to bring the other word and bring the word of encouragement and setting that culture and being me. And I have been rejected. I've been rejected out of being invited places because that wasn't welcomed. And while I'm not okay with it, while I was just like, that's hurtful, I had to move forward and continue to be who I was. And honestly ask the Lord to guard my heart, because he talks about that the things that make you anxious, bring them to Him. He will guard your heart and your mind. And I knew that your word says that, God, so you're going to protect me. You're going to guard my heart and my mind. And I move where He tells me to move, and I found people who don't act that way. I found people to walk with that are that encourage that receive it, that accept it, that aren't like you. Oh, there's Kimberly again, just being positive or encouraging, or you know, like the words that would be said are things like, oh, well, she's not going to want to go with us here because, you know, it's like,
I think,
you know, so I would do that, and I found people, and then it didn't keep me from going around places it didn't keep me from going the places that I needed to go that God was leading me to. But I honestly found people that did it, that accepted it, and I remained who I was, and I spoke His word, and it did shift people. It shifted atmospheres. It shifted the way people spoke, and I had a lot of testimony of people saying thank you, and just thank you for answering the call of who we're created to be. It's not anything to be shameful about. And so I do want to speak to the ones who you feel like you're either the goody two shoe or the positive one or the innocent one or whatever label has been put on you, that you are the innocent one.
Yeah.
He is the innocent one, and you're one with Him. You're just follow Him and be that. And so I just give you permission. I give you permission to be pure and holy as He is pure and holy, and to be positive and to do that. So I don't know if that encouraged you, helped you, or whatever, but go for it. Just be you, and you might get people that are mean, and you just continue to be you. Process with the Lord, process with safe people, let Him heal your heart, strengthen you. And the other thing I did was, honestly, I told my husband, Lord, I'm a leader. I told Chris, the Lord, I'm a leader. And he said, I know that this is an area you need to be strengthened in. And I went to my husband for accountability, and I said, where do I need to strengthen? And that was one of the areas, because I used to run around strong people, powerful people. I would run because I would get that feeling. And I learned how to walk in with His boldness and still be Him, be like Him, because He's bold, He's gentle, He's fierce, He's both, He's all those things. He's the lion and the lamb. And that's what were you gonna say?
I was just
That's
gonna
my
say,
encouragement to you.
Yeah, it's within us to mature in this, and it's a maturity thing. So when I would get feedback from someone I trusted, that's the other thing. Is that this is a person in my life who loves me, who is fierce over me, who leads me. I've given him permission to lead me, and so he leads me well. So when he gives me feedback, I know that it's going to be loving and kind, and it's not going to feel like a slap, you know?
You know his motives towards you.
And so when, and I've noticed I haven't gotten a lot lately, so that to me, you know, is I am bearing fruit. But I have to be honest, I had to mature in relationships. I had to mature as a leader in the relationships that I have and the people that I lead. And even how I respond, how I carry myself, even my facial expressions. I've had to mature in that because, you know, I think that I'm, you know, showing one thing on my face and something else is showing up on my face, you know. And I'm like, oh, you know. So even just, it's all these little nuances even that I've had to mature in. But what I wanted to say about what you were sharing about, if you're one that's always positive and people around you are like, ooh, you know, I can relate to the person because for me, I can't speak for them, but for me, and this might help, it just might help you understand people better. I did not like happy people because I was not happy and I didn't know how to find that. And so it was very difficult for me to be around people that had peace and had contentment, and I'm like, how come they have it and I can't have it? So it was out of great pain that I acted like that. Not that that's an excuse.
So kind of with understanding and being there might be something going on.
Absolutely. So I have learned how to respond to those kind of people with the opposite spirit. So if they come at me with that like I will just ask for an encouraging word for them. Lord, give me a prophetic word for them. And it's just interesting to watch someone like that has experienced pain in their life and they're rough around the edges. When you speak life into them, how that stuff can fall off and a trust can get built, and you can actually see it just kind of come off of them. And that's what I love about the prophetic is like that. It doesn't matter what behavior they come at me with. Like I'm a solutionary, so you can't be around me and not get blessed. It's kind of like like the way I live my life. Like, you're going to be blessed, and I'm going to speak life to you and encouragement to you.
Yeah, that's good. And that goes into what are practical ways that we can change it? Like, what can we do? And she spoke on some of those. It's a setting. It's like knowing I'm gonna remain who I am. I'm going to partner with the Lord and like listen, and it's setting the culture around you. There is a deciding to be different, because you can read His Word, you can know His Word, but there really is a decision that I'm going to actually take His Word and be different. And then really giving yourself, like, being patient with yourself, being kind to yourself. I mean, like, man, I was having a bad day, and that was so ugly and whatever, and okay, I changed my mind, and I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna apologize. Like, be willing to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
That changed so much for me. Being willing to apologize.
That builds so much trust.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like, I messed up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I led you
That
wrong.
was not nice.
That wasn't nice.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said
Yeah,
that.
I shouldn't have said that.
That builds trust, and that if someone else feels this, so if you were,
authentic.
it is.
Yeah.
That way, if that person who you went to apologize to, and you brought that to, they can feel encouraged and supported with that when they feel that icky way, when they leave a conversation not feeling great, or you overshared, or you said something you should never, you were gossipy. Like, there is that trust of, like, I can go to Kimberly because she's safe, and because she came to me. So just living that out will automatically rub off on people, because they realize how safe you are.
Yep, absolutely. That no matter how someone behaves, you know, I'm gonna love them, because that's what honor does. You know, honor actually does that. We assign value to every person. Because I have to ask myself, do I want to be treated? Do I want to be valued for how I behave? Because I'm not going to always behave like value comes from that they've been created by God. You know, do I want people to do that? No. And do I have to set boundaries? Yeah. But at the end of the day, I do want the other person, even while they're like saying things or actually even purposely being mean, I want them to know I value them. I don't like what they're doing, but I'm going to value them. Yeah,
and you can some of the ways that you can do that is before you even like walk into a situation or walk into a room full of business women, or when you're in ministry, whatever, it's a refusing to partner with judging the room and comparing. It's like walking in ahead and you're like, I'm not going in there to judge the room. I'm not going in there to compare. But instead asking God who they are, who every person is. Because you're not even, it's like you're not singling out, oh my gosh, here comes this one person and I've received them this way before. You're going into the room asking God who they are. Show me what you see. How can I encourage them? Because once you see what it'll wreck you. When you see what He sees, it'll change how you feel about the person. We've had, like, it changes it. And you can no longer, you fall in love with them. And then just shifting the conversation. Like, there's such a way to shift the conversation. If we're sitting here and it's going in a bad direction, you might feel like, well, I don't want to be like, you shouldn't say that. Instead go, aren't they awesome? Like, find something about the person or the company and pull it out and be like, don't you just love this about them? You're shifting the conversation. And then the conversation starts going on about what's great, and you're shifting it. You're leading it. You're changing things.
Yeah, and you're helping people to see something else, because you can, like, even when you're with safe people, and I've had this happen where you're trying to share like an issue going on or things that you've seen or experienced. You can easily just kind of stay there and get stuck in that. And it turns into, well, now I'm just kind of talking about them. You know, and so it's good. We need that. We need each other to be that person to go, hey, isn't this awesome? And you're like, yeah, oh yeah, that's right. It is awesome. Like, I need that.
Yeah.
I absolutely need that.
Because sometimes you are,
That's
real.
honest. Yeah.
Sometimes you're hurt, you're frustrated,
Yes.
all those things, and you can be like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I need to talk about this. Who do I talk to this about? And I don't want to dishonor this person, but I really
Yes.
need a solution that I'm not getting. I don't know how to approach them. Whatever. It's finding wise, safe people who you know aren't going to judge them. Sometimes you can even leave out the person's name
Yeah.
and just give the situation.
Yep.
Sometimes you might have to give the name, but those are just ways,
Yeah, that's
practical
good.
ways you can do it. I want to take the last part of this, and I know you've been on the feed and stuff. Is there anyone that really stands out to you that you feel like I have somebody, but that you feel like God's like wanting to give encouragement to? Okay, go for it. All right.
Ellie Krieger, you're a natural leader, and I believe that the culture that you're setting, the ripple effect that you're having on your family and leaving a legacy with your daughter and in the military community through your husband, that it's so much bigger than you even realize.
Yeah.
And that what you're doing is setting and shifting culture, that you are a kingdom entrepreneur, a kingdom leader, and that the way that you stand rooted in your identity and in who God's called you to be, who He's called Ellie to be, is going to and has already drawn so many people to you. And so I just believe that your business and your life and your marriage and the people around you are so influenced and impacted just by you being you, not by any type of anything special other than you. And so I just want to encourage you with that today, that that you are the encourager in your sphere of influence, and you're called for that, and that you are a leader, that He sees you as that, and that you're doing an amazing job. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you like at your like kitchen counter area, and you were just in your preparing, just in your putting like these ingredients together. I feel like you're just dropping honor, and that just you honor even products. It's like you have a way to honor companies and their products, and so I just bless you in that, and tie into what Britt was saying. Do you have anybody?
Yeah, the Lord highlighted Andrea Haynes to me. I don't know her, but I really felt pressed to give you just a scripture, because a lot of times I feel like our hearts can be flooded with thoughts, and we don't always know how to sort them out. And so this scripture always helps me. And you can find this in, hang on one second, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the right one. It's in Philippians 4, and it says, so keep your thoughts continually fixed on all that is authentic and real, honorable and admirable, beautiful and respectful, pure and holy, merciful and kind, and fasten your thoughts on every glorious work of God. Women are a glorious work of God.
Yeah.
People are a glorious work of God.
Yeah.
Andrea is a glorious work of God.
Yeah.
And fasten thoughts on every glorious work of God, praising Him always. And so I just want to encourage you with that scripture, that this will fill your thoughts with such peace. Peace is powerful. Peace is actually wholeness. And so I just release wholeness to you, Andrea, as a leader, that you walk in wholeness and you lead others into wholeness. And He's going to show you really, really cool things about other people that are in your midst.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. I know who Andrew is. Okay. I have a word for encouragement for India Hopper. I just saw you're like, I know you, so I'm gonna speak towards things I know also, but that I perceive, and you're so like, it's great. You're so gentle. Like there's just this gentleness that even like comes out of your body, and when I'm around you, you're just, I can feel the gentleness. But I see you even in, like in your business, that It's so lovely. Even your live videos that you do are so lovely and gentle, and you bring like like even with the gospel, like we bring the good news. You bring good news even in your business, and I see you as because you are in the jewelry business. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you your pieces, they shine, and you don't even you are not a sales lady. Like, you're not salesy. You're not. So if you felt like I don't want to be salesy, you're not salesy. You're informative.
Yeah.
And I think you need to just take that word and be like, I am so informative, and it's just beautiful the way that you lead, the way that you just shine, and that you're just very gentle, and peace just follows you, and you just leave a trail of just peace and gentleness with you. You're very inviting, and it welcomes people in to not feel like people can come around you and not feel like they have to be afraid to say no. You give permission. You give permission for people to just be them and do what they want. And so I want to just encourage you with that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to, real quick, just encourage any moms out there. I know that there can be a lot of pressure about, just moms talking about how other moms parent. And I just wanted to say to you, this applies to that too.
Yes.
I know we're talking about specifically business and ministry,
But these
but
moms
I
are
feel
in
like
business
that
and
is,
ministry.
that being a mom, you are ministering to other moms.
Yes.
So I just wanted to encourage you that go back and listen to this, and these things that we've been sharing with you, they apply to that realm, to that circle, and you can be a tremendous influencer to other moms and bring wholeness to them as well.
Do you have an encouragement? Do you have anything? Give them. I don't know. I just felt like to ask you.
Yeah, I just want to say to you. Yeah, I just want to say to you, if you're a mom in business and a mom in ministry, that you're enough, and the way that God is leading you is enough, and that the way that He leads you, He will always lead you well. He will always lead you into truth, even if other moms don't understand it. And there's that pressure to conform to how other moms do things. I want to say, I just say peace to you. I say peace to even thoughts that you've had about how you want to do something specific with your children, and you've had negative feedback. I seriously want to encourage you to lean into the voice of God. He will lead you to lead your children into wholeness, into what's best. Don't ever let another voice dissuade you from what the voice of God is telling you to do. I've been there, I've done that, I've regretted it, and it's His voice settles every matter. And so find safe people that can hear the voice of God clearly for you as well. If you need just confirmation, sorry, I'm closing my eyes because I'm just this is just so powerful. Lean into His voice. As moms, lean in. He will give you strategies for your children. And it doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful, because there are so many moms that you're in business and ministry, and ministry, and you've just, a lot of you have sent your kids to school, and or you're homeschooling them, and leaning into God, and how your structure for your family isn't going to look like somebody else's.
Yeah.
And you can do all the things that God has led you to do. But I feel like you're going to bring creative ways for other moms to do this. And by you partnering with God, you're
give
going
them
to
permission.
give them permission to creatively do all God's put on your heart to do with children.
Come on.
And so do you have?
So
Do you close out? Will
Or
you go ahead and close
Yeah.
out? I know. I want to keep going. I know.
We have afterthoughts today.
Yes. I forgot. Okay.
Yes. So we, our heart is to be a resource for women to see every single one of their dreams realized, and that is the core of who we are. And so we love having after conversation, because we could seriously go on forever.
We could go on forever.
But we love continued conversation and connection, and so we have a private Facebook group that's free, that we will have continuing afterthoughts, and we want to hear your feedback. We want to see the feedback, the things that you, if you ask yourself these very questions, I think they're such great questions to ask yourself. And so just to kind of to be thinking about that, and it's a safe place. It's a safe place that we've kind of cultivated and started so we can have continuing conversations. And so make sure that we'll put the link in the comments below to join the private group, or if you just search O Free Fly Community on Facebook, you can request to join and we'll approve you. And so continue the conversation here or in the group, and we also have our next coffee and conversation on September 12th. Yes. Thursday, September 12th, and that is all about women, kingdom women in business and ministry, and kind of changing the conversation and setting the culture in that arena. So again, just more encouragement for you, for your life and your business. And so be sure to set the notifications on this page so you get notified when we go live and when we create events like this, so you can get reminders. We just bless you and encourage you just to go and encourage, support, comfort, and build up those around you in your sphere of influence. So